My name is Vaibhav Vikas and I welcome you all to my presentation for the proof of stake. The prerequisite of this presentation is to have a very good understanding of a proof of work mechanism. So let's proceed. Proof of concepts is a group of consensus mechanisms that were developed in order to modify as an alternative to the proof of work mechanism the disadvantages that a proof of work was facing and the advantages that a proof of concepts aims to give us. It comes with three major aims. First, to make the solution searching process for the proof of work very easy. We all know that the proof of work consensus mechanisms makes its node participants compete with each other for finding the correct nouns for its proposed new block. And this competition is by repeatedly trying different and different nouns values until the value is within the target range. And this competition is really time consuming. Proof of concepts has many mechanisms that makes very easy mathematical searching process like searching prime number chains in prime coin for solving matrix problems in proof of exercise. Proof of exercise comes under the proof of concepts only, and some other easy mathematical tasks. Second aim, aims to improve the performance of a proof of work as security and incentives. It aims to make the theoretical issues of proof of work valid, and it aims to make the incentives better than the proof of work mechanism that it has been giving us now. Third, it aims to have a better usage of resources such as electricity and technology. The mining process of proof of work requires a huge amount of energy, and proof of concepts aims to make that energy into some other alternative and more productive uses. In this presentation, we will be talking about the most famous the proof of concepts that has been developed till now, the proof of stake model. To understand the proof of stake model more clearly, we'll be starting with an analogy. Let's assume there is a competition going on, a puzzle solving competition, and some people have come to compete in the competition. Now, the competition has two major rules. First, that every participant should have a very powerful computer to solve the puzzle. And second, there's only one prize, that's the first prize. Now the player A has got a very powerful computer. Player B has got a computer, but it's a little less powerful than player A. But player C could not get any computer. So in one way, he is directly out of the competition. Now the competition begins, and both the players start searching the solution for the puzzle. This process took days to complete, and at last, because the player was having better chances of winning because of his powerful computer, he at last won, and he's happy because he got a first prize. But the player B is very sad because all the energy that he gave in, all the investments in the energy that he wasted has just gone to waste, as he was not able to get anything out of this. This is what we call as a proof of work model. Let's jump to just another competition going on with completely different set of rules. Now in this competition, the competition is the same as the puzzle solving process, but here the rules are first all the participants have to pay a fee that if they are paying, then only they can access the rights to participate in the competition. Once they have given the fees as a collateral means that this fee will be locked up until the competition is over. Once they have paid the collateral, now the competition will randomly allocate one of the participants to be the leader or validator who will be selected to solve the puzzle. This is proof of stake model. Now, in the real proof of stake, these people are the participants who have come to validate the block. Now they have to pay a collateral, and this collateral is known as stake. Stake is a sum of money that you give in order that is locked up and till the validation process or a block is over. This stake is given so that if the validator is doing wrong or malicious things, then that stake could be taken off from him. Now, after the paying of a stake, there's an algorithm that's randomly allocates one of the participants to be the leader or validator who will validate the block. And this is the proof of stake model. The basic difference that a proof of stake has over the proof of work is that in the proof of stake there is no computational power required. There is no the proof of stake does not aims to have a technological advantage over others, but it's a pure stake based competition. You might be having some questions right now, so we'll be first answering that questions. First, what did a validator at a time of validation just says, I will not validate, I'm gonna sleep now. That means that validator just does not validate the block after being selected. In that case, the collateral that he has given, the stake that he has given, some amount of that stake would be taken off from him. It might be the total stake also might be taken off from him. Second, how are the validators selected? This validation selection process completely random and depends on the blockchain platform that is running the proof of stake model. The algorithm of this validation selection I will be talking about in 2 to 3 slides. Third, how complex is the computation process in the proof of stake mechanism? In simple words, this computation process is very easy as compared to proof of work mechanism. It's so easy that in some platforms it can even be done with the use of a smartphone. Fourth, what if the validator cheats? Now, in this case, there comes a term known as slashing. Slashing means to take away the stake that the validator has given in the beginning of the validation process. So if the validator cheats, then slashing will occur and the stakes would be taken off. Now, some important points to note here. First, proof of stake allows only one validator at a time to validate, thus reducing the transaction time. Second, if a participant is staking his coins, the coins will be locked up until the next transaction. This is to make sure that all the participants behave in a justified manner and there is no malicious behavior. Third, validators create blocks that points to previous blocks of the transaction. It's just like the hash pointer that has been discussed in the proof of work model. Now, at this point, let's just get to the main points of the proof of stake model. First, cryptocurrency owners validate block transactions based on the number of coins a validator stakes. Second, the owners offer their coin as collateral for the chance to validate the blocks, and this collateral is a stake in the proof of stake model. Coin owners with staked coins become the validators. Validators or leaders. This stake amount depends on a blockchain platform where it is being done. Finally, the validators are selected on any algorithm fixed by the respective platform or even randomly. Now, the benefits that the proof of stake model offers over the others. First, the proof of stake model reduces the environment sustainability concerns by using low energy consumption. As the solution searching process for the proof of stake is very easy compared to the proof of work, negligible amount of energy is required in this case. Second, faster transaction rate. Fear of slashing makes the nodes reliable, and because there only one validator is involved, it directly makes the transaction rate very fast, and computation can be also solved fairly quickly. Third, reduction of cheating using the stakes method. Fourth, not as much need to issue as many new coins in order to motivate participants to keep participating in the network. Unlike the proof of work model, where new coins has to be issued in order to motivate participants, because a huge amount of energy and technology is used in that case, and so the participants don't get demotivated from these things. New coins has to be issued in the proof of work model, but in proof of stake, because it's a pure stake-based model, nothing as such is required here. Fifth, reduced centralization risks. Proof of stake model depends on the coins or the currency of that cryptocurrency platform where it is being run. So the centralization risk is very low here because it's not on the energy consumption but on the resources in terms of currency that is being talked about here. Sixth, 51% attack, far more expensive to carry out than in proof of work mechanism. Just like the centralization risk, 51% attack is the same thing because it's very expensive because the currency is coming in the proof of stake model. Now, let's come to the basic question that we'll be answering now. How the validator is decided? The validator is decided using a follow the Satoshi or FTS algorithm. FTS algorithm is a very simple hash-based algorithm which takes an input, processes it, and gives an output. Now, in FTS, the input is known as seeds. Seed is a string of arbitrary length, and this arbitrary length string is such that it can be the previous block's header or a random string created by some other selected nodes, etc., etc. The output is a token index, and the algorithm here is to find the current owner of the token to be the leader. input its hash to give an output as a token index, and the algorithm then finds that the current owner of the token to be the leader. I am referring leader to the validator who will validate the block. Now, the probability of getting selected as a leader here is pi equals to si by, and this pi is among the n participants that are participating to become the leader. Si is the stake amount that the ith participant has staked. Now from this formula it's very clear that the more the participant stakes, the probability of getting his selection as a validator or leader becomes more. Now at this point we know completely how the proof of stake model works. Let's just discuss some of the protocols that use the proof of stake model, starting with the Ouroboros protocol. It's a pure stake-based protocol which runs on Cardano. The protocol is like it divides the time intervals. Every time interval is known as epochs, and in each epoch there is a coin tossing protocol happening. This coin tossing protocol, you can understand, it's a very random based protocol. It's very randomly generated protocol, and it's for the selection of the validators. Now in this three-phase coin tossing protocol, seeds that I have referred to the input in the FTS algorithm. Seeds are created and for the FTS algorithm, and the FTS algorithm then outputs some coin indices, and the current owners of the chosen coins are selected to be the leaders, and also the committee members for the next epoch. Committee members governs this process of the coin tossing protocol. Now, one thing to note here, that in Ouroboros, leaders only create empty blocks, and the input endorsers confirm and add transactions to the block. And thus the block rewards in this Ouroboros protocol is shared between the committee members, leaders, and input endorsers. Also, to incentivize small stakeholders to contribute, stakeholders can delegate their right to participate in the committee. Now moving to some of the features of the Ouroboros protocol. First, security. It's a proven research for Ouroboros to be secure when adversary controls strictly less than 51% of the total stakes. Further, knowing that partial synchrony cannot be realized in reality, so the Ouroboros considers the asynchronous nodes to be part of the adversary nodes. Also, by other research done on this protocol, seeds creation process is totally unbiased. And one designated leader selection process, that only one leader will be selected to validate the block, guarantees the mitigation of alternative forks to overtake the main chain attacks. But this protocol still cannot withstand 51% attack. But knowing that 51% attack is theoretically also possible with proof of stake model, and it is very difficult to happen in practice, we can safely assume that it's very more difficult to happen in practice in proof of stake than proof of work. Fourth, low transaction confirmation time. As I said that one validator selection process is there, so it directly makes the transaction confirmation time very small, and energy consumption is negligible compared to proof of work consensus mechanism. Moving now to our next proof of stake based protocol, chains of activity protocol. In this also, the leader is selected by the FTS algorithm, dividing the time intervals in epochs. But here, the seeds are selected by a little different way. Here, the chain is divided into groups of blocks. The chain is the blockchain, you can understand it. Here, the blockchain is divided into groups of blocks of length L, and time is divided into epochs, such that in each epoch, exactly L blocks are added to the chain, and the hash of each block is calculated, which is used to determine the seed of that block. Then these seeds are combined and fed in the FTS algorithm to determine the next epoch's leader. The selected leader has to make a deposit or stake his coins before creating a block. The block reward can be claimed by the leader if the block is created properly. But if his deposit or stake will be confiscated if the leader shows any malicious behavior. Some features of the change of activity protocol. First, the protocol introduces checkpoints blocks which extend the change by some exact number of blocks to prevent any adversarial force for taking over the main chain. Only one leader designated to create blocks in each round, so nothing at stake and long-range attacks are mitigated. Nothing at stakes attack are when the no stake is given and the validator is trying to validate the block. And long-range attacks is when the leaders are determined before their designated epoch who can show malicious behavior. Low transaction time, just like the Ouroboros protocol, negligible energy consumption, and yeah, these are the features of the chains of activity protocol. Moving to our third protocol, the Casper protocol. Casper protocol was developed by Ethereum, and it has one major advantage, that it can work over the proof of work protocols. Unlike before the two protocols discussed now, Casper does not perform leader selection process. Instead, it employs a dynamic committee which votes via Byzantine fault tolerance protocol, the BFT protocol. And the BFT protocol to justify the checkpoint blocks. At every interval of after every fixed interval of the blocks, there is a checkpoint that checks the activity happening in the blockchain. Like it can be 50 or 100 blocks. After 50 or 100 blocks, there is a checkpoint, and every block up to that second latest justified checkpoint is considered to be finalized. Now, in this protocol, proof of stake mechanism is used during voter selection process, where the validator has to make a deposit to gain voting rights proportional to the deposit, which will be slashed for malicious behavior. If the validator is showing any malicious behavior, then the slashing process will occur. That means the collateral will be taken off, the stakes will be taken off. Features of the Casper protocol include: first, security. Casper is proven to be secure as long as the 2/3 of the voting power is controlled by honest validators. Second, it mitigates long-range attacks by incorporating a withdrawal delay. A withdrawal delay is when a validator has to wait for a long period of time before deposit can be withdrawn. As Casper can work over the proof of work protocols, it provides additional security to the underlying chain. Now, after this discussion of these protocols, let's discuss some of the security issues that the proof of stake can face, or it might be facing, and how it can battle such issues. First, nothing at stakes attack. We all know that a block generation consumes negligible resources and energy, which may motivate malicious participants to create different forks, which is known as nothing at stakes attack. But there are protocols which can confiscate the stake deposit in such a behavior. This also prevents the bribe attacks. Bribe attacks means when the leader is being bribed by some malicious leaders. Second, there exists an attack on voting mechanism that we discussed in the case of Casper protocol, where committee members may sell their stakes at the beginning of each epoch before they are selected. That is, again, they can perform a nothing at stake attack by still having their voting rights, and thus they get out of the penalization, as the members have nothing to lose here in the penalization process. But there exists few protocols which lock the stake of committee members for a predefined period until the epoch has ended. Now, another kind of attack exists known as the grinding attack, where the leader is selected based on the header of previous block, such as in Ouroboros protocol. To mitigate such attacks, special seed inputs are used, which can be influenced by adversaries. Now, let's focus on our second challenge, the incentive compatibility. Incentive mechanisms are generally made keeping in mind that the economic advantage from malicious behavior is always less than the incentives we are getting. But in proof of stake protocol, stake liquidity of the stakes should be kept in consideration, as many protocols just ignore the stake trade outside the network. A solution to this problem is to analyze the user's rational behavior using game theoretical approach and to design effective incentive mechanisms. But this field is being in research only, and we hope for high contribution in the near future. One thing to note here is that a proof of stake is still in its infancy and less tested as compared to the proof of work model. Now coming to the last part of the presentation, where I will be talking about the delegated proof of stake. The delegated proof of stake is a consensus algorithm, which is basically an advancement of the proof of stake model. Delegates here are users who oversee the blockchain governance but don't play a role in the transaction. Now, this system is maintained by an election system for choosing nodes which verify blocks known as witnesses. If a witness fails to verify all transactions in the given time, block is missed and so no reward is given. The reward is added up to the reward of the next witness which verifies the block, and these transactions are collected by the next witness, which is known as stolen. Delegated proof of stake can be understood in another way, that if there is a connection problem going on that may happen in the other consensus models, delegated proof of stake can be used here so that the participant can delegate their stakes to a voting mechanism and vote for another participant to validate the blocks. I will be ending the presentation by asking one question. Can Bitcoin have a transition from proof of work to proof of stake? Well, this transition can only be done by using a fork. Fork is a term used for a change in code. And if 51% of the entire network agreed for the proof of stake model from the transition from proof of work to proof of stake, then it might happen in Bitcoin also. I thank you all for being the part of this presentation.